Today I'm taking some of my own advice. My name is Charlotte Allen and you've reached my channel, The Felting Alchemist. I put a video out a couple of days ago all about imposter syndrome and anxiety around putting out needle felted products and worrying about whether they're good enough and whether people will buy them, whether they're happy with them and all that kind of stuff. And if you want to have a look at that video, it's just up there. Now, I've got a lot of felted creatures that have kind of reached the felted creature box of doom and they've never seen the light of day. They've been kept in a cupboard. I don't really know why I've kept them for so long. They've just kind of gone into the cupboard and festered for quite a few years and I've never done anything with them. So I decided today that I was going to put my own advice to the test and I was going to see if I could sell these items that I don't think are good enough to go out to the public. So it's a bit risky, but I'm going to give it a go and see what happens. And I'm actually going to put them into a shop in Exeter near to where I live and just see, with the Christmas market picking up as well, how they do. So let's have a look at what I've got. The first thing I've got here is this baby owl. So I kind of kept hold of him because I wasn't really sure what kind of market he'd suit, whether people would be into him. And I wasn't overly pleased with his overall finish. I just felt it just looked a bit too fluffy and ball-like, but I'm going to give him a go and see how he gets on. And I've popped him onto a little plinth here just to present him a bit more and make him look a little bit more polished. I've also got these gingerbread men that I made, oh gosh, probably a couple of years ago now, and they've just kind of festered in the box of doom. This one looks a bit like gingerbread man in Shrek. So I'm going to add those in and see how I get on with those, see if they sell. I've got some items from last Christmas that didn't sell, so I'm going to give those a go and see how I get on with those. I always make things and think they're going to sell like hotcakes and then they don't, and this item is testament to that. So I made this last year and it's like this 1950s housewife mouse helping her little baby put the star on the Christmas tree, and I thought, oh, this is definitely going to sell, people are going to love it. And it just didn't sell. I had it on my Etsy shop and I had it in a shop in Sidmouth as well, near to where I live, and it didn't move. So I'm going to try it in this shop in Exeter and see if I get on better. And then finally, I've also got my little sausage dog. Now, he didn't have a hat on before, but I've added a hat to him to make him look more festive, and I've added some string to him as well so he can go on a Christmas tree. So I'm going to see how I do with him too. So those are the items I'm going to sell. I've also got some things I'm going to take out of one shop and put into a new shop. So let's see how I get on with these items. I've now taken my sculptures to the shop in Exeter, so hopefully, cross fingers, I'll sell some, or hopefully sell all of them. And I've replaced my box of sadness with a bag of sadness because these were the sculptures that were left in the shop that hadn't sold, and they've been there for probably, well, just after COVID, just after everything opened up, so about 18 months, so quite a long time. It really is a bag of sadness. My style and the way I make things has changed significantly since I took them there, so I'm just going to open the bag up, but please don't judge me because I made them a long time ago and they are looking quite sad and mistreated, and I think that's the downside of putting them in shops, to get manhandled a lot and get broken. So the first thing I've got in here is, I called this Say Cheese, and look, oh dear, my mouse has decided to commit suicide. These were great at the time, but my style's moved on now and I don't really make my mice like this anymore. So I think I'm going to just remove these and I'm going to reutilize the camera, which is this really cool vintage camera, into another sculpture. And I might even reutilize this piece of wood as well, which is a piece of driftwood that I rescued. Now, I have a friend called Vicky who is making needle felted items, and she's not really sure how to price them and how to justify the large price tag. And I've mentioned before about adding inexpensive items into your sculptures to increase their overall value so you can sell them for more. Now, admittedly, these things haven't sold, but I did sell a lot of the other sculptures, which obviously I haven't got to show you because they've gone to new homes. So it's definitely worth upcycling things and incorporating them into your needle felted sculptures. And it's all about the presentation as well. You can present something on a piece of driftwood and just stick it in a shop and people will be like, meh. Or you can present something and make it look really special. You could sign the bottom of it to really give it that unique finish. You could paint the wood if you wanted to, just to give it that individual unique quality. You could do all kinds of things. So I've got this snail here, which I added to a piece of driftwood. This piece of driftwood is lovely, and I actually really like this snail. Now, I think the reason this hasn't sold is because he was £60. Now, the reason he was £60 is because the shop I was selling him in has a very high commission, so I needed to kind of up my prices to kind of get the benefit when I sold anything. But I've realised now that actually things like this don't tend to move as well as, say, my mice. So I'm going to take this one away and I'm going to probably put him in my online shop because actually I really like him. He looks really cute and he's a really simple sculpture. Now I've also got this Mermaid, and I love this Mermaid. She took me a long time to make, and I love the way that you can kind of move her head around. She's really poseable and she just looks really forlorn. So I had her displayed on this really large pebble which I found on a beach in Budleigh Salterton, and if anybody knows Devon, you know that in Budleigh you get really massive pebbles. Now I can now confirm for you that if you make any needle felted items, do not attach them to a pebble because they will not stick. And I use super glue, I don't know how many times. She's actually taken away pebble with her rather than actually attaching herself to the pebble. So what I want to do is I'm going to give her a bit of TLC, and I'm actually going to attach her rather than a pebble to a piece of driftwood instead, because the driftwood has just got a much better surface. It's less porous and it's more accommodating when it comes to super glue, as I found in the past. So I'm going to attach her to some driftwood instead. So I'm going to sand this down. So this is free, it's cost me nothing at all. I got this in a massive driftwood hoard when I went to Charmouth one year. So this is one of the pieces I picked up, and it's got loads of character to it. So I'm going to give it a bit of a sand just to tidy it up a bit. I'm going to tidy up this end here because I don't like this, and then I'm going to attach her onto the driftwood. So you've still got that lovely sea theme, but you haven't got the issue with the whole sticking it down on a pebble. So I'm going to try that and see if that improves her sailability. And I've also got this mouse that I took away from the store, and it was kind of based on Love Actually, and it was around Valentine's Day, and I had this really cool old vintage tin that I'd found in a thrift shop, and I put the mouse on top, and then he's got a little sign saying "To me you are perfect." But looking at it now, it just looks a bit cheap, and it's not the style that I would have now. So I'm going to keep this tin and repurpose it. I'll probably ditch the mouse and give it to one of my children to play with, but I always repurpose any upcycled or vintage items that I use because, you know, it seems silly not to. And just because this hasn't sold doesn't mean that something else incorporated into this tin won't sell. So I'm going to give that a go. And then finally I've got this mouse here who was blowing some bubble gum, but it's all detached from his mouth with the super glue. So he did look like that, but it's all kind of pulled away. So I think he is going to have to go to needle felting heaven. And then I've also got the block of wood that I had him attached on, and this is what I mean when I say about repurposing things. So this is just a piece of ordinary wood that my father-in-law's chopped up for me, and all I've done is just sanded it down, put some chalk paint on it, and then I put some wax on top to seal it, rubbed it down a bit as well just to give it that kind of more vintagey look, and then pop the mouse on top. So you've got a nice presentation stand for it to sit on. So I may have my work cut out here in relation to repurposing all of this and jigging things around and tidying things up and all that kind of stuff to get them ready to sell again. But I will come back to you once they're all repurposed, and I'll show you what I've done with them, and I'll let you know how I get on with selling them. So hopefully you'll feel inspired to use vintage items or upcycled items and incorporate them into your needle felting work to hopefully increase the value and get more sales. So I hope you feel inspired to try vintage items now and upcycled items and just give it a go and see what happens. But people really love vintage stuff at the moment, so I think it's a really good trend to pick up on. Really hope you enjoyed this and found this useful. Please like this video if you did enjoy it. Thank you so much for subscribing to my channel, and I will see you tomorrow with more needle felting hints and tips. Bye!